Yeah, I'm watching the rise, and I wouldn't say I'm shocked, cause I'm hardly surprised. This one's for the ride, this one's for who knew I'd make it, just needed some time. This one's for my wife, could've left 1,000 times just so by my side. This one's for the grind, I knew it would happen, just had the strength in my mind. To the videos, they thought I was a black guy. That's hard to get over. A foreigner in the sport, but I'm fully devoted. I don't take it for granted that the door's been open. I knew I was different, I knew I was chosen. A breadwinner, but I'm soft-spoken. Authentic like a 5950 and there's no cap. Let's have a toast to that. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Let's have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Let's have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Have a toast for the They done baptized the bad guy. Still don't follow religion. The fabric's not average. The cotton's Egyptian. 500 for the shoes come dirty, but the European. Less is more and less is the bank. Up the score, I pull up from Trey. From the tray, I'm ballin' like Trey. Do what I can, I do what you can't. I wrote this 30,000 feet up, 10 toes stay G'd up. I'm tryna get that type of wealth, like a house on the hills can't see us. Say the money still me up, stay humble, stay teed up. I don't tell you how to live, so don't hit me with no weak stuff. And if you know the deal, then you know the deal. If it's real, then you know it's real. Toast. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Let's have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Let's have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Have a toast for the real.
Hello, everyone. This is Unsolicited, and I am Security Boss. And today, we are starting the standard. Yes, sir. The standard. I'm going to bring up. Listen, I hope y'all liked our intro. I hope you did. I hope y'all enjoyed that. I hope also that you love the thumbnail. But you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to say hello to a couple people and also just thank you all for being here on a Sunday. It is Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern, my time, of course. And I just want to say hello to the beautiful eye. What's good, good people? Thank you for being here. Hello, Talk Hell. Thank you for being here. Eugene Steele, it's good to see you. Mr. C, what's up? How you doing? It's good to see all you all. And as you come into the live, make sure you're giving us a thumbs up and continue to engage. Now, again, today is the first day of the standard. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the standard, what it is, and then we're going to bring the young lady up that's going to kick this thing off. As you notice from the thumbnail, we have the Bloomin' Ebony. She's going to be here with us today. Cheeky Banter, Cam, and also Jedi Mike. So listen, y'all, that is an all-star crew. It really is. So y'all going to enjoy this. The standard is going to be a series that goes over the next 4 weeks. We're going to take the holiday off, though, y'all. We don't work too much. But what we're going to do is we're going to outline these young people because they're going to take us into the next generation. And I consider them the standard. They're making decisions. They're deciding to be married. They're just quality people. But I want to begin this by letting you know what this came from. The standard. The standard is a level of quality. We're going to start there. It's a level of quality. Secondly, is used to measure norm, our model in comparison, evaluation. So we're setting the playing field. This is the standard. You can definitely do better, but you must do the standard, right? And then the last is principles of conduct informed by notions of honor and decency. Did y'all just hear that? Noted by honor and decency. This is the standard. And this young lady that we brought to bring up now is the first co-host on the standard. Come on up, Bloomin' Ebony. Hello.
How are you?
I am doing so well. What about you?
Doing well.
Good. I hope you're ready for this.
I am as ready as I can be.
I know you are. I know you are. Remember, guys, when you're coming into the live, make sure you're giving us the thumbs up. And listen, the Blooming Ebony is going to begin this thing off. She's going to kick it off real strong because this is a big deal. And what it is she's going to speak on femininity. And I'm just going to recall some things. She and I were on a platform not too long ago. And there was some questions about femininity. It actually came out that there was several types of femininity. And of course, I questioned it, but didn't want to argue, didn't have time to argue it. Just wanted to understand what that person, individual, was speaking of. So Blooming Ebony, she pulled out her darn near tablet and was like, let's talk on it, let's speak on it. So it was so amazing to see you do that. And it is also still amazing to see that you're inquiring and you want to be a wife. And I'm just happy about it. So it's now time to set a standard. Because so many people think and say all the time, there are no wives out there. I didn't have an example. I don't see it. So guess what? We're going to set an example and it's going to be up to you to follow it. You may not like and agree with everything we say or whatever we cover. It may not be all, but if it's something that can help you or put you on a better path, please write it down, take notes and use it because it doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop here. Now, next week, which won't be next week, it'll be the weekend after the holiday, Cheeky Banter will be here. And I'm not going to tell you what he's speaking on because I need y'all to be here. I don't want to spoil anything. But there will come a time where everyone will be on this platform together and you all will be able to communicate with us, and hopefully we'll be having some solutions. Actually, we're looking for solutions. It's time out for back and forth wars, complaining, or whatever you have. It's time for some solutions, and we're going to start it here with the standard. So before we get started, though, Blooming Ebony, is there anything that you wanted to add to that before you jumped right in?
I don't think so.
Okay. So let me just tell you what we're going to do. We're going to speak about it. She's going to define, she's going to outline femininity. She's going to tell you how it shows up in this world, how it shows up between men and women, and why it's so important. Why is it so important? And then we're going to just talk about it. And then at the end of the show, we will allow guests to come up and ask their questions. We're going to do it one at a time because we're going to make sure this is something that you all could put in a bottle and go back and review on your own and in your own time. Just in case you didn't know what you heard or forgot something you might have heard or wasn't sure about what you heard, you'll be able to go back and take a look at it. So the show will be an hour long just for that purpose. And if you have questions and if we need to go further, then we're going to have to make sure the Blooming Ebony is able to come back and continue to answer these questions. But let's go ahead and get started. It's on you. Go ahead.
Yes. So I want to start with the misconception, which is women can only be feminine and men can only be masculine. I think there's a misunderstanding on what the energies are and how we embody them. So women and men have both energies, feminine and masculine. But the idea with femininity is that women have more of it, right? And we embody it very well. And masculine energy is a bit weaker for us because it's meant for men. So they do that very well, right? They kind of like they beat us when it comes to masculine energy. And the feminine is meant to be soft and calm and peaceful and pleasant. And that list goes on and on. But the idea is that you are able to kind of create an environment that is a bit more lighthearted, right? In such a serious world, you should be the light in that area. You should be the smile, right? It's one thing that was interesting about that panel that we saw that you mentioned earlier was there are different types of femininity, but is it based on race? And that was the idea. I believe that's what you were talking about. There's dark feminine, there's mature feminine, there's the immature feminine, which is what a lot of women are in because they haven't taken the time out to fine tune it and work on building themselves and improving themselves. And it takes a lot of work, a lot of energy, even financial investment to grow into that feminine woman that you want to become, and kind of mature that energy. But as far as, is there like a black way to be feminine or a white way to be feminine or anything like that? I don't think so. I think there are certain characteristics that Black women have, white women have, Hispanic women have that are just based on their culture. And so what people in their culture might deem to be feminine based on what they're familiar with, that may have some influence. But as far as, just being graceful and pleasant, there's no race behind that. It's just an embodiment. And we can all learn it, right? Like we have this naturally, but you still have to fine tune it like a guitar, right? Guitars have guitar strings, but sometimes they go out of tune. So you just have to figure out how to tune it.
So let me ask a question. You mentioned, you started out by saying the misconception was that men, I'm assuming you're saying that men don't have this feminine energy. So tell us about that. Why do you think that's a misconception?
Yeah, so I don't really know why it is. I think there's just a few YouTubers in the manosphere space that talk about these energies in a way that is attractive to them, right? That looks good. So a man that's masculine all the time, that sounds wonderful. And a woman that's feminine all the time, that sounds wonderful. And when they think of masculine, they're thinking of like that modern woman, right? Someone who's just unattractive to them, and they automatically think that's masculine. But we have to embody both energies to get certain things done, right? The feminine energy is, it can procrastinate because you do things when you want to do it, right? You do things when it feels good to you. You're in the moment, you're present, you're not forward thinking, right? You're in the moment. You're present, you're just being. But the masculine is the doing energy. That's the energy used when you have to get things done. You're going to sacrifice you, right? Sacrifice who you are, things that you want to do to get things done so other people can then depend on you. Whereas the feminine energy is more dependent on others, right? You allow that help to come in, that support to come in. But I do think the idea with masculine energy is they're calling men like feminine to like weaponize it. Like, oh, you're acting like a woman. You're being emotional, right? Using those words that do fall under feminine energy, but they don't realize that men also need to recharge, right? Men also have to reconnect in order to keep going, to kind of rebuild their masculine energy sometimes. So there are healthy ways to do it. I think the issue is when you're unconscious, right? So you're not being intentional with how you're using your energy. So it comes out in times where it can actually hurt you versus help you.
So listen, you're onto something with that, but before we go there, tell us about how they both show up in the room together, or how they need each other, the feminine and the masculine.
Yeah, so I can start. I think it's easier to say what happens when when the woman and the man both are in their masculine, and how
No,
that goes
when they're actually
in
working in tune with each other, when they're working in tune and in harmony with each other.
So let me think of an example of that. When they're working in tune. I think the best way to explain it is on a date. You see it other ways as well. But when they're working in tune, the idea is the man did the planning, right? And he's hoping to, oh, sorry, really fast. My laptop's being a little bit loud. Can you hear that in the background, or is it okay?
It's okay.
Okay. So the man did the planning, right? He's trying to get this done. He kind of has like a checklist that he's trying to meet, right? Good meal, good movie, all these different things. Now, the woman, what her goal is to enjoy the date, right? This is a man that you've known, right? It could be your husband. Your goal is to go there and talk about the scenery, how pleasant it is, compliment the food, make sure he knows that you are enjoying your date. Because the more that you are happy and satisfied, that actually satisfies him. He doesn't really care about the romance stuff. He's doing that for you. So if you don't enjoy it, he's going to feel like he failed, right? And the masculine needs that accomplishment, right? He needs that success. That's how he gets that boost in testosterone. His confidence goes up. So he's not sitting there like, oh, this is an amazing date because the food was good. You are making sure he knows that it was a great date for you. And by you feeling good, the masculine is then going to feel good. So that's an example of kind of how they harmonize.
So in other words, the feminine energy complements the masculine energy, and that makes the man feel very well. And then the woman is enjoying the date because the man put it together throughout with his own processes, and not necessarily her doing anything, but her just enjoying the moment.
Exactly.
So they work well together that way. Now tell us about how it works when we're out of order, or tell us how we do get out of order, if you can give an example of that.
Yeah. So there are much more examples of that than the other one from what I've seen. So when a woman's in her masculine, what we often see is, so when a woman's in her masculine, she's typically more aggressive, more combative, right? She's just trying to get things done. She's typically more overwhelmed, and she can also become depressed, right, if she's in it for too long. So what happens is the man's in his masculine, and men are better at being masculine than women are. So when a woman's in her masculine, they'll clash, right? She'll be aggressive with him. What I've learned recently is in our body language as well as our tone, and tone's really important. So a lot of times women will like, even like the clapping thing that women do, I learned, when you like point, do little things like this, it's aggressive. And what happens is the masculine is trying to defend itself because you are kind of coming at them, and they'll be aggressive back. And so you'll kind of like start to clash, and the masculine will either disconnect, or, you're not going to come to any solutions, because instead of the masculine kind of hitting that point where they want to problem solve with you, they're just defending themselves because they feel under attack. And so nothing gets done in the relationship, and it just
you just
a cycle.
It's just a vicious cycle. So listen, what is easiest? Okay, well, let me say that. I always say to my husband, what comes first? You open the door, or I wear the dress? Which one do you think comes first?
I wear the dress.
All right. So the feminine energy shows up first, and then the masculine energy knows to open the door.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I do think the dress kind of resembles. So in order for you to be protected, you have to look like someone who needs to be protected.
Correct.
Right. And like I said before, it's an embodiment. So you're showing this, you have to be in that softer energy for the masculine to think, oh, okay, yes, she needs protection, right? She needs this from me. But if you are carrying yourself in a way that's showing that you don't need it, then he's not going to provide it. He's like, oh, she's good. She can get the door herself.
So guess what? We're at a time now where the lines are being drawn, where I think it's getting a little fuzzy, because men are saying that looking at women as just one group, and they're all the same. They all are like. I had an example, something that happened earlier this week, where I saw on, I think it was Instagram, where a young lady got onto a public transportation, whether it was a bus or a train, I don't remember, but it was about 15 men sitting down. She entered the train, I think it was, and nobody moved to give her a seat. And she's like, wow, not angry, not upset. She just looked around and said, wow. But you knew exactly what the wow was about. So then there was somebody that was recapping the video, and he says, oh, so you want to be equal? So you want to make the same money? So you want, comparing her to being a feminist, wanting to be equal and have the same rights as men per se. That's what he did. And so I had another experience. It's like the same day, where I went to the store, and I was just not paying attention. And it was a man there, and he was like, ma'am, he got my attention, kind of startled me a little bit because I wasn't paying him any attention, but not in a negative way. He said, would you like for me to put this water into your cart? I was like, sure, thank you. Smiled, and he did it. And it was no problem. So my point is, how do we make men aware that every woman is not the same? How do we convey these messages? Because she didn't do anything. I'm not a feminist. I want the man to pick up the water for me. I want the man to open the door. But I don't want to be attacked at the same breath because you don't know who I am. So what do we do about this? How do we convey this message, or how do we, and we talked about this a little bit, but how do we get past this point?
That's such a tough question. Personally, what I think is men just have to be somewhat hopeful, right? Like, there's this idea. I'm take a step back. Sometimes I think that a lot of times we focus on what we don't want instead of what we do. And even when you focus on what you don't want, you tend to see that and attract that more. So the example that I've heard from femininity coaches is, even if I tell you to not think about a pink elephant, you'll start to think about a pink
A
elephant.
pink elephant.
Right.
That's true.
And when you go car shopping as well, you can be researching different cars and you never see that car ever, like ever on the road. You start researching whether you like the car or not. When you start driving again and you go back on the road, you start to see that car everywhere. Whether you liked it or not, you start to notice it everywhere. I think the first thing is men need to know what they do want. Think about that more. Think about what that woman needs and then become that. What can you control? You can't control whether or not that
Wait a
woman
minute.
will.
Wait a minute. Slow down and say all of that again. Wait a minute. Slow down. Say that again. Men
So
need to do it. Go ahead.
I think the men need to focus on what they do want. Think about what that woman would want in a man, what she will need, let's say need in a man, and then work on becoming that instead of focusing on these women that you claim that you don't like. Because you'll start to see that everywhere and you'll start to attract that.
That is so well said. I say it this way, but your way was much nicer. I say it this way. I say, men, don't allow women to pull you out of your masculine frame.
Yes.
Don't do it. Ignore those women.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever allow anyone in their behavior to take you away from being the man that you are here meant to be. And you have to concentrate on who that man is and that man's purpose.
Yes.
That's excellent. That was very good. I think you deserve a boom.
Thank you.
I like that. That was good. That was good. It makes so much sense from over here, but conveying that message, it's almost like the pink elephant. I think a lot of times, if I said something about a pink elephant, I'm picking on you now because now I got you thinking about the pink elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Where I don't want you to think about, right? So what can I do? How can I give you this other thought? So how can we encourage the masculine or show value to the masculine? That's what we women that are in the feminine or who want that need to do. And that's how we can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how we make a difference. So that's a big deal. We got to figure out how to do that because that's a big deal. That is actually the answer. But what I want you to do is you to tell us or tell the chat how you cope or what's your strategy on a daily basis on becoming this type of woman or becoming this woman or even wanting to be this woman. I want you to tell and share the struggles, where you learn from. If it's something that you need to cite, but definitely do so. If it's somewhere someone needs to go or take a class on or what have you, however, whatever you can add that we can help someone, that's what we want to do.
Yeah. So there are so many struggles. I think the biggest struggle is being vulnerable. I think I started working on this about 3.5 years ago, and how I actually dove into it. So I entered into like the red pill world with more conservative politics, and I went into like more becoming more socially conservative, and then eventually I got into femininity, and I found that actually because I had GAD, which is generalized anxiety disorder. I had really bad anxiety, and I got diagnosed with it about 6 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago now. But after getting diagnosed, it got progressively worse. And so I just didn't know what to do. So I just searched online, how do I cure this? How do I fix this? And I found femininity. I think the biggest struggle of femininity is that you're constantly learning. And in constantly learning, you're constantly learning what you don't do well. And that's very hard. Looking in the mirror is really, really hard. And being vulnerable and making these promises to yourself. So the way that I fix it, basically, or try to work on it and improve on it, is I started with just free online training through the Universe Guru. That's where I started. So I just watched a bunch of her videos, and I still watch them to this day. I did free workshops. So you just sign up and you listen on these workshops, and they give you journaling, like inner work activities, so you can try to figure out what's going on with you. And the first step is becoming self-aware, right? This is kind of long-winded, but the idea is, when you have self-control, you have power over what you do. And if power is a form of energy, and energy is neither destroyed nor created, it's transferred. If you don't have power over yourself, that means it was transferred to someone else. So who has power over you? And that's the idea that you mentioned before of losing your frame. Who are you giving power over you and how you react and what you do and how you behave, right? Because if you don't have it, someone else does. So you have to figure out where it's going and why it's there, and try to become more self-aware so you can become more in control. And then later on, when I got my job and I had more money, I started doing courses. I'm actually in 2 courses at the moment. I'm in a live 6-week course, and I'm also in a pre-recorded course as well.
If you don't mind, can you share the title of the live course?
It's called The Feminine Embodiment, and it's with the coach named Sarah Lena.
Sarah Lena?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to find a way to post this on the channel so people can actually go back and take a look at it and get all the information. So people can go back and get all the information that they need for this live. Now, the second was a live. What was the next one? What was the next course?
The Universe Guru. So she has a bunch of different courses.
I got you. And you mentioned all this was free.
No, not the courses. So I paid for the courses, but the Universe Guru and Sarah Lena as well. They both have YouTube channels.
Okay.
And they talk about this all the time. They're really good resources. There's also, I think, Dr. Feminine is her name. There's Women of Elegance. So there are so many. There's so many resources online. It's difficult to find the women that aren't using what's called dark feminine in a way that's harmful, that can be harmful to men.
Explain that if you don't mind.
So that one I'm still learning.
Okay.
But you can kind of, when you go to their video, you can kind of tell that they're kind of luring in people with the more soft energy, but the things that they're saying are kind of selfish, right? Mm-hmm. So they have a, instead of it being like, I'm be feminine, you're masculine, it's a win-win. It's more so, I just want to take from you, right? Instead of I'm going to take, but I'm also going to give. They kind of lack some of that balance. So there aren't too many, but if you go down the wrong rabbit hole, people just throwing around different buzzwords, and it's not very helpful to men, in my opinion.
Right. And that's the objective, is to get men, to stay on the right track, to continue to be the covering and the protector for the women, because in our culture, we're losing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where this is going. I hate to think about where it's going, because we need men. Not all of us, not even half of us, know how to protect ourselves or to feed ourselves or to build, just to tell you the truth about it. So we will be in a very bad place. And it may not be in my time or my generation, but the ones to come, mm-hmm. Maybe yours and your children will have a very tough life if there were no men. So we have to correct this some kind of way and get it back on track. So whatever we can do, that's what we're going to do. So I like that. We're going to make sure I get some more information from you so we can at least add it to the channel for someone else that needs to hear that, for them to have somewhere to go. Now, how much, when will you say, well, let me ask a question. Are you ready to be married?
Yes, I think so.
Do you have a significant other?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, congratulations. I didn't know that. Yeah. I had no idea. That's good. I like that. Now, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 25.
Oh, such a baby. Now, see, listen, I got married at 25.
Oh, nice.
I did. So I've been married over half of my life.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
And I'm just going to tell you the truth about it. I would have it no other way. So just to be honest about it, I know some people say different things. It's not easy, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Mm-hmm. If that gives you something more to look forward to, then it is true. it can work that way. It can be an awesome thing. It could work out. You could be happy. You could love your husband. Even 20 years later, you could still like him.
Yeah,
So
that's the goal.
that is the goal. So listen, if you want to if you want to have one more thing that you can add to the femininity that you think that we need to know, because I'm going to drop the link, because there are some people that have questions and I would like for them to be able to come up and ask those questions. We're over halfway of the show, and this is where the questions and answers should come, because we're going to keep this show to the, like I said, to the point where they can get your information, hear exactly what you said, and be able to take something away without having to sit through a very long video. So we're going to drop the link. And for yourself, do you have any other things that you want to add about femininity that you think is a huge misconception, or something that we don't know about, or like a dada, or what, how this has changed your life per se? Any one of those things that you can add.
Yeah. I think the one thing I want to add is another misconception, I think, is, so I think you're talking about a couple, like for the last couple videos, this idea of sex and who controls what. And there was someone saying how men are leaders, and so men should be leading that. And if women are like the weaker species, sort of like if feminine's the weaker energy, that they can't have, like we can expect them to lead in that. And I think the idea of leading when it comes to the mating, dating process, I think that is a bit skewed. So there's this idea of sexual selection, and you see this is evolutionary term. The idea is that women choose which male DNA should go on to the next generation, right? We were created to do that. And this idea that women, the feminine is powerless, I think is a huge misconception, that men have to lead in everything. You don't. And even a lot of women even say, oh, well, oftentimes as a woman, he thinks that he's making all decisions, right? But really you have influence over what he decides. You just know how to surrender to let him take the lead in kind of conveying it to the world, right? You're okay with sitting back and letting him be the brand. But you still have influence, you still have power. And when it comes to that in particular, I want to mention this: women have a lot of control over the way that they choose to have sex. And then men have control over whether or not they want to get into a relationship. And that's where that balance comes from. I think oftentimes when learning this, we stop at each step instead of seeing how the two kind of balance each other out. The women want the relationships, the men want sex. Who has power over what? And then how does that negotiation kind of work, right? Think about these things, right? Men know the risk of relationships, which is why they wait so long to get into one. So women should also know the risk of sex, and you should think about it more before doing it. When you want to do it, that's your choice. But I do think it's important to know that the feminine still has power.
I didn't know what you were talking about at first, but I got it now. When you were when we was talking about on the panel about Marilyn Monroe, how well, basically, to be feminine, you didn't have to have a brain. You didn't need a brain or something to that. Okay, I understood what you're saying after the fact. But listen, we're gonna drop the link. That was good, because make sure you're getting the likes up when you come into the live. We appreciate it. We have over 50 people watching right now. We have 35 likes. Make sure you get those likes up, guys. Come on, we realize it's in the middle of the day on a Sunday, but guess what? We're here. Blooming Ebony is giving us some outstanding information that she's going to pass on throughout all the women and myself, all the women that are interested in knowing and that want to be married, that want to be mothers, that want to, give value to the men, that want to make sure that our culture goes on. So this is what needs to happen. So I'm going to read a couple of these comments until someone actually cams up, and make sure y'all camming up in the back, because we don't want any problems, guys. So listen, this is from Black Man Unfiltered. Just got out of church. Woo! Now I'm here to say amen. All right, Black Man, it's good to see you. There was one there by Snuggles. Snuggles, what was that you were saying? Listen, you can definitely cam up, and we're just going to answer the questions. We're not going to be hostile with you unless you be hostile with us. But anyway, if y'all have any questions, please just go ahead, and the link is there in the chat. You can definitely cam up. and we could talk about it. We definitely can. And hello to Bolo, Rick Judah, Kay, all of you all. Thank you for being here. Snuggles, Gregory, if I didn't, Anthony, hello, CC. I didn't see all you guys coming in, but I'm glad that you're here. And if you have any questions from the Blooming Ebony, make sure any questions about femininity, because this is a big deal. We can always identify what is not, but we never know how it gets here. So I want you all to come up and ask your questions. And Kay says, where's the balance? Who is calling out men's bad behavior? Wow. Okay. So, you know what? Ebony, oh, excuse me, Chris, of the Blooming Ebony. I'm gonna let you answer that question only because of this. You started out by saying you went over to the red pill space.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn there? Because maybe this can help us understand more about the thought process of that manosphere and that red pill space, and maybe that'll give us some balance. And Kay, maybe that'll answer some questions. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I learned is that a lot of the men didn't understand or didn't feel useful in the world.
7 joined.
Wow.
And that is very hard for a man because men need to be needed, right? And I personally think that before Kevin Samuels, right, if you followed Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, Jordan Peterson, those people, especially Jordan Peterson, they were calling out the men. They were telling the men, hey, Jen Mike, you have to make your own bed before you go and change the world, right? You have to take care of yourself. He taught young men how to act at his father's funeral, right? To make sure that he felt like he was contributing and that he was helping, that he was being useful and not just grieving like everyone else. He wanted to feel like he was being a man, right? There are men calling out men. I don't think the issue is who's calling out men. I think we are so concerned about what we can't control instead of what we can. I can't control what the men do, but I can control what I do and how I react. If men are doing a behavior that I don't like, don't give it attention. You mentioned this earlier, and the idea behind that is that the example is training a dog, which people don't like using these types of analogies, but it's just how the brain works. If you're trying to train a dog to not jump on you when you walk into the house, you don't tell the dog, no, down, down, down. The dog gets more excited when you do that because what the dog wanted was attention. He wanted your attention. So whether or not it's positive or negative, your attention is still telling him, incentivizing him to keep doing that behavior you're trying to get him not to do. You ignore the dog until the dog stops. When the dog stops jumping on you, you give him a treat. You incentivize good behavior. I think a lot of times in this space, women and men, we're so focused on what the opposite sex is doing wrong instead of focusing on what we can control, which is ourselves and what we pass along to people that look like us, who can see us walking in that action, walking in our femininity, and wanting to also have those benefits, seeing, wow, she looks happy, she enjoys her life. I want that too. How do I get there? And then let people follow you that way.
So listen, what you said was dead on, but I can't just go past what you initially said, because that was the most devastating thing for me to hear, was that the men don't feel useful. They don't feel useful. Okay, so listen, that means, and that tells me that we need to have some empathy. We need to have some compassion for whatever is going on, because there's something huge that has happened to where our men period don't feel useful. How can you not feel useful? So that is a problem in itself. Forget the attacks. That right there is a problem in itself, because I want to know, why don't you feel useful? We definitely need you. I mean, I get the feminist movement, and I definitely get ignoring the dog, because that's what I'm going to do. That's what I do all the time. I'm good at that, because you're not going to change my life. But I'm just trying to say we need to help our young men and our young women too. But I don't hear women saying that. But that's a big deal to hear a young lady saying the men in this particular space did not feel useful. Wow. Mm-hmm. So, Kay, I hope you heard that. Do the men in the chat feel useful? I don't know. I don't know, Kay, but you can definitely, we can ask the men in the chat, or we can continue to listen. This is not the show where we're going to go back and forth. We're going to have some good conversations though. And we're going to try to listen and hear each other, because that's the first time I actually heard that. I do know that the women are not showing the value, but for her to tell me a man has said, or she has gathered from conversation, they don't feel useful. That's totally different, y'all. That's totally different. That means we messed up. That means we got to back up. We got to do something different. We got to figure out where the problem is. And that's just where I'm at right now. But for now, thank you so much for that, Bloom and Ebony. Jedi.
How you doing? You guys hear me?
Yes, sir. We do.
Everything? Okay.
So listen, you heard the femininity. Now you've also heard the beginning of the problem. What do you have to add to that?
Well, yeah. First, I just want to give props to Bloom Ebony. One, not just articulating that um, in a very good way, but it just all you're very transparent, even with your own experiences. That a lot of people, especially women in your situation, have not really to admit, because unfortunately, while a lot of women in social settings is like, they don't like, they're very cautious about how they might be perceived in a way. So when it might be identifying a problem, they won't be transparent, knowing that identifying the problem leads to the solution. And one thing that you said that really stuck to me was that, something that I relate to is that, we always are constantly, trying to self-improve, right? But in order to constantly self-improve, you constantly are seeing the things that you're doing wrong. And that's something, unfortunately for us, this is a thing I always keep talking about too. We have to check our ego. A lot of us, we can't take that times when we're self-reflecting and looking at things we're doing wrong. And this thing goes into any aspect, not just in a relationship, just in your life. You work wondering why, people in management are asking before they get the peer review from their supervisor. No, employees or supervisor, like bosses, they look at their employees and they respect them more for coming. Hey, how can I be better? Am I doing this wrong? Because they took their step out of the way, not wait for the review to come. They took the initiative themselves, right? And one thing I just like commend you, just as a man watching this, is that much as like we might have our own individual experiences to a point, we might want to generalize all women in this category. But as I believe, and that's what you displayed here, that's not as all women. I just think in our culture, we're not emphasizing enough about self-reflection, unlike what you discussed today. But yeah, all power to you.
So Jedi, I like that. But let me ask you a question. Now, this is a sincere question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You do know that you're useful. You do know we need you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you share with us if you had issues? Would you share that with someone that we can have compassion and empathy for what you're feeling, so we can correct this problem?
Mm-hmm.
Would that be something that you would share?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know in my certain experiences, and this is stuff I probably talked to you in the back end, and like in previous relationships, it was like one thing. Again, it goes to the whole modernism today. I know that gets misconstrued, but in our age, we're being taught, to be individuals, and even though if there's a pro and con to it, we always think of like, okay, well, to me to be dependent on somebody, therefore I'm a lesser being and I'm weak, right? Because both, just full, codependency itself is, it can be negative, just as full independency can be, negative as well. So what's the caveat? The caveat is interdependency. Is that not only can I survive without you, not only do I want you, I need you,
Absolutely.
right? And
Very
we don't discuss that a lot,
right.
right? So when talking about the men being value, like men, we must, earn our respect to get respect. But the point is, if I'm not being put in a position to receive any type of like, now we call it validation, but really it's respect, right? I'm
Yeah.
not, because it's just like the simple fact of opening a door for you, walking this, like, and they think this is old school, right?
Yeah.
And and this is just thing we have fallen out of order as people, as men and women, just in terms of how we show proper decorum to people, to people that we consider to be valuable, i.e., the people we're in relationships with. So it's not that if I'm coming to open a door for you when I could not to, or how one, I'm walking down the street and I'm standing between the road and her on a sheet, like, and nobody doesn't really discuss about that. That's me protecting you. But then today, when they hear that, they're like, why are you trying to protect me? You think I can't defend myself? Like, no, it's just me showing my proper decorum to you, how I was raised and how I'm covering you, is that I'm keeping myself from the road and you. So way that I'm able to protect you. Not saying you asked for it. It's just more, this is what I was told I'm supposed to do as a man. And that what makes me feel valuable. And that's the things that a lot of men, we just get in these arguments about with women. It's just like, they think that it's just, I'm telling you you're a lesser being because I want to cover you. Like, but that's our duty, as men.
Thank you,
And yet,
Jedi. I mean, you're just exactly right. Because what you're saying is this is the standard.
Mhm.
That's exactly what you're saying. You're quoting the standard for a man, and you're saying this is what it is, women. Please hear me.
Right.
I agree with you. But listen, we're gonna let Bethany come up. Listen, guys, this is the standard. This is what I'm talking about. Jedi is also a part of the standard. Y'all gotta stay tuned for his Sunday that he's gonna bring. I'm not gonna even tell what you're gonna talk about, Jedi. We don't want to spoil it, but he will be up soon, and he's gonna continue to support, and we're gonna keep this thing going. But I want to bring Bethany up, and Jedi, thank you so much for being here and for your support.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, Bethany.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon to you. I'm feeling the fly, girl. I'm feeling the fly.
Like this twist out.
I love it. I love it. How you
Thank
doing?
you. I'm fine. I'm about to go on the event, but I want to be quick. First of all, the Bloomin' Ebony, thank you so much.
Yes.
For this topic. Thank you for being a feminine woman and being transparent with us, first of all. I just really been feeling like I'm happy I found a network of people that are on the same page, have a common interest, and just really we want to be better and we want to see better for our community. The fact that I agree with the idea that you cannot change anybody. And as women, we feel like we can say what we want, but men may not change for us. You have to work on yourself. And I'm totally in agreement with that in the sense of I'm married, but I knew what I had to do. I had to work on me first to get my husband or whatever, or carry myself a certain way. And I feel that women don't care anymore. And we need to be an example. It's like, hey, like you said, don't give attention to the negative women, the women that you don't want, or the women you don't see as wives. Don't give that attention. And we need to praise the women that are out here carrying themselves with self-respect and dignity and modesty, and in celebrating relationships that look like that are an example for our community. And unfortunately, media is not putting that in the forefront. But this space that we have here, the community that we built here on YouTube because of Security Boss, I love that. I'm so appreciative for that. And I just really respect y'all. I really, really do. I love this. I seriously, I go around telling people about this space and how it warms my heart. Like I can cry. Like it brings me to tears because I'm around people that have a like-mindedness, and I just love it. So I've told my parents about this space. I'm like, I personally, I have a selfish interest in this because I have two sons. They may be 3 and 6 years old, but guess what? Yep. The women that are raising my future daughter-in-law, right. I'm very fearful right now.
You should be.
I don't have much hope, and I tease and say, hey, no, we're gonna have arranged marriage here. Like I tell them, my best friends that have girls, that's not your play cousin, boo. That could be your future, because I need to know who's raising these future daughter-in-laws.
I agree with you on that totally, because your kids, your boys are going to be the husbands and the father. Come on now, they are. They're going to be the presidents. They're going to be the one making this. They're going to be the lawmakers, the police officers. And if we're moving to a lawless society, where are these men that are? What are they going? Oh no. Mm-mm.
And see, and I know my husband and I, we're doing our part.
Right.
We're doing our part. We know the future men that we're raising, and it starts at a young age. It's not going to start at 15. It's starting at 3, 2.
But guess what, though? Will it be enough of them that they can protect themselves and the women? And because the numbers are dwindling. If we're not getting married and we're not having a nuclear family, because this woman is too masculine, or this man's going, whatever the situation, then we're not building the culture that is going in numbers. So when the war breaks out, we lose. we lose, you know. And your son, you got it right. Your sons are perfect examples of it. Perfect. So we got to get started here, because Blooming Amity is going to have a child. Her kids, this is what we're talking about. It won't be in my time. Y'all, I'll be done going on the glory, and y'all be down here fighting. I don't want to see y'all fighting, but I'm just saying we got to start taking it like it's not a joke. The number of Black men is so, y'all know there's alternative lifestyles. Y'all know there's prison. And if we're saying we're not going to have any families anymore, or we're not getting together with other Black women or other Black men, then what do you have?
Right.
Mm.
You have nothing.
Yes, we have nothing. But listen, go ahead. I'm sorry. No.
Well, and then I want to make sure that we're praising women that are carrying themselves well. It's funny because YouTube is cable for me.
Right.
Between this conversation, I love fashion. But I've looked up, like, what does an elegant wardrobe look like? What does a classy wardrobe look like? And people think it's all stuffy. It's like, no, I consider myself a sophisticated, sexy woman, and I want to dress the part. But that doesn't mean butt out, boobs out, or have a balance. You got a little cleavage, have a little length on the arms and legs, whatever. And my husband's like, are you still shopping? I'm like, I want to change up my closet. I want to change up my wardrobe. I'm a mom of 2. I'm married, but I'm still sexy. I still want to be appealing for my husband. I can't be in sweats and crop tops all day. You know, so
you are in my head. If you could hear the conversations I had with my husband, you would. We already established this though, because this happened before, you and I. You are in my head. So listen,
we need an etiquette school, security boss. We need a femininity school, an etiquette school, how to dress, how to walk.
Blooming Amity has blessed us today. Let's just say that. We got to put this thing together. But I'm telling you, you are in my head, because I am the shopper. Listen, I don't need the stylist. All I need is the Instagram, and they put together them outfits. I got that.
Pinterest is dangerous.
Yeah. So listen, you got it. Listen, don't go too far away. You know what? We're going to be tuning in. I'll keep you updated always. You got to come back, of course. And I thank you so much for being here and what you do, and continue to share the channel. And again, thank you for being here. But we're going to go ahead and go to the next caller and have fun in your event.
Thank you.
All right. See you soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
BOLO. BOLO?
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can. How are you today?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
We're doing well.
Miss Ebony, you are so on fire.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are on fire. I won't be long, you know. The first thing I wanted to touch upon is something that she said. And you know, a lot of the times I like to take a pause for the cause when someone says something really really moving. There's a lot of the times we just like to gloss over it. And the thing that she said is accountability for what dysfunction you bring already to a dysfunctional situation. Because it's easy to point the blame and say, Ebony, it's you, and Ebony saying it's BOLO, BOLO, BOLO. But Ebony is making a conscious decision to say, I'm being accountable for what I bring to this dysfunctional situation. I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at me, and I'm holding myself accountable. And I think that that's a point of a lot of times where we as men and women, we don't do. We're always pointing to, you know, looking at the other instead of looking in the mirror and saying, what do we bring and how do we stop it? We stop it by taking accountability for what we bring to this dysfunctional situation, right? So that was awesome that she brought out.
Absolutely. She had some other ones too, but you know what, BOLO, let me share this with you, because this is going to hit you too. And I know you heard it, but did you hear her say when she first started this journey, she visited the Red Pill community, and from that she found that the men that were involved just didn't feel useful.
Yes, I heard that.
So deep for me. I'm just like, I'm having such a hard time wrapping my head around this, because I'm seeing my husband, you know, I'm seeing how he moves around the house and how he out there mowing the grass and how he's fixing this and fixing that. And I'm just thinking, how could you all ever feel not useful or unuseful. I'm just that has just stunned me for today. I mean, I know what people say. People can speak things on you at any time. I get that. But I'm saying for you to actually feel that way, what did we do wrong?
Well, see, a child's self-esteem is taught by the parents and how you treat the child and the environment that you establish and create for them, right? Because this child doesn't know that it's important. So
Right.
if a parent treats this child as such, that's the building blocks for this child to say, I am important. It's the building blocks for this child understanding what it means to the parents. And it's a reciprocal situation, right? It works in tandem, because if I treat my child important and show that my child means a lot to me, in time they grow to know that they mean a lot to themselves because they mean a lot to me, if that makes sense. And when you have parents that are young, right? Younger than 25, younger than Ebony. You have children raising children that don't even understand and they don't have self-esteem themselves. How can they then teach something that they're not to their children? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. So I can't teach my child self-worth if I don't know that I have self-worth, right? So this is why mentorship is so important, right? Because maybe they didn't have a good father in their life. Maybe they didn't have a good mother. Remember, the first man that a daughter falls in love with is her father. He
Right.
measures every other man against him, and vice versa. The first woman that a little boy falls in love with is his mother, right? He measures every woman against her and her attributes and her traits. So if he doesn't have anything to measure against, then he's freestyling. He's going to go out into the world and try to pick out a good woman at the same time. If he didn't have a good fatherly figure, try to figure out how to be a man and a father and a husband all at the same time. Go figure that. Go figure out trying to give yourself self-esteem, trying to find self-worth, trying to be a good father, trying to be a good husband, trying to have patience with your wife, your child, and yourself all at the same time. That's madness.
Yeah.
It's madness. So this is why it starts with the OGs, you know, to go back and let these youngins know that we have to teach them. And then one last thing, and then I'll let others come up. Parenting, it starts, you know, it's so important because parenting, it teaches self-esteem, right? And placement of the building blocks of the position in which a child or a boy will carry. So you're asking why these little boys that grow up to be men don't think that they have any self-worth. Because self-worth is taught when they're young. Even though they are doing the things that men ought to do, right? They're out there doing what they need to do as far as providing and doing all these things. But the building blocks of their self-esteem was never established. So when they're doing these things, they're just doing it automatically, right? It's just automatic. Like, you know, when someone does something that they love, it's not work to them. But if I do something that I don't love because I don't love me, because I don't know how to love me, because I was never taught to love me, and I say this and then I break out. We always give that example of the diamond, right? If you have that 1 carat diamond that's worth $10 million, you have a 1 carat diamond that's worth $10,000. The only way you find out that diamond is worth 10 million is when you do the math. Is when you go and study, when you do, you know, you find out the clarity, you find out the cut, you do all these different things. So once you know what the worth is, you now can demand the value. And you knowing who you are as a man and knowing what your worth is, you then can demand your value in your standard. So you don't lower your standard the same way that you're not going to take less than $10 million for that diamond. So,
Enter joined.
Wow.
thank you so much for having me. Ebony, keep doing your thing. Please be that example. I thank the Lord for, I thank the Lord for you,
Yeah.
and I thank the Lord for SB, because we're looking at standards right here on the screen,
That's
and
this
not
is the after Bolo. This is what we have to accomplish because we're just jacked up right now. We're not good. We're not.
totally backed up. And that's the thing. And this is what I want us to keep in mind. Unfortunately, everyone's not going to get this.
Right.
So with that, love you, SB. Ebony, keep doing your thing. I'm praying for you and your family. Ebony, SB, I love you. And I'll holler at you later.
All right, we love you too. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Can I add something?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I like what he said. I think to add to that, we need to make sure that we're ensuring that the men are building their self-esteem in a way that makes sense for men, right? I do think that a lot of times women, like I do believe that women can't really build men because we don't really know what we're building, but we need to know how men and women each build their confidence and build their self-esteem before we can kind of help them be on that path. And I think we don't quite understand each other and how we work and how we're different. And another thing is, I don't know if you noticed this, but from a young age, I do think we teach women everything that men can't do and won't do. And we go into relationships thinking that our Black men are disabled, like we have to carry them through the world. And so even if we want them to lead, we go with this mindset that they can't do it anyways, because we're being taught, oh, he's not going to be there. When you have a child, he's not going to get up with the baby. He's not going to help you feed the baby. He's not going to
Oh
he's
my.
to be employed. He won't have a job. You know, you can't depend on him. Like you're being taught this from a young age. So by the time you even get to that relationship, you're being told he should be the leader, but you don't even trust him to be fully capable of doing so.
You know what, Bloom and Ebony, I had a whole conversation with a group of women where I just fussed the whole night because I was so upset with them because I told them my husband is not dumb. He's not, and I'm not gonna let y'all try to make me think that he's dumb and don't see the crumbs on the table. My husband sees the crumbs. Your husband might not see the crumbs on the table, but mine does. Because of just what you said, we treat men. And I came home, he was like, "What is wrong?" I said, "They just always trying to make men dumb. They're trying to make you dumb." I was so upset about that because it is just that way. You're exactly right. And I didn't equate that to useful, but you are exactly right. I mean, I was in what was that PF Chain just fussing because I'm like, y'all are not gonna get ready to make my husband stupid. I mean, y'all can say what you want to, girl. He don't see them crumbs on that table. Yes, he does see the crumbs. What are you saying? Why are y'all saying that? And my husband was like, "Babe, they don't get it." I was like, "No, I'm not going for this. This is not happening." My husband is a very smart man. He could do anything he wants to do. All he got to do is want to do it. And I'm not going to let y'all make him stupid. And because you are, I don't know why we teach that, but the thing with the crumbs on the table was just what got me. This lady was determined to tell me that, well, men just don't see it. I'm like, what? If they can see the dirt in their car, they can surely see the crumbs on the table. What are you saying? But you brought me to a place. I remember that. And my husband probably remember that too, because I came home hollering, yelling. They think your man is stupid. My man is not dumb. I hated it. But and you know what? Those were older women that were trying to convince me that I needed to believe that about my man and other men. And I was just determined. I am just not having that. No, because nobody wants that. No woman that wants to have a good marriage with a good man wants to feel like her husband is inadequate in any way, because I have to rely on him to know things that I don't know. I need to rely on him to teach me. If he can't see no crumbs, what are we going to do? You know, what does that mean for me? So you're right. Now, why do we, we're going to have to go. We're going to have to continue this one on. You know, I told you about this. We got a few more minutes before we complete our whole hour, because, you know, we had the little intro and all of that. But you have definitely touched on something there. We got to go back and we got to pull that out. This has to be another conversation, because I had kind of forgotten about it because it was so many years back. But that did happen. That happened to me. That was told to me by an elder. So we're going to have to talk about that. But Mr. Steele, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing fine. And what about you?
Doing good. You're looking mighty young and youthful today. I mean, what have you done? You done lost about 10 years.
Yeah, every time I shave off my beard and my hair, that's what it actually looked like. But just wait till the beard grows back.
Okay. I mean, you look good. I'm not trying to say it's wrong. I mean, you look like a very young man. That's all.
Thank you.
So what do you have to add to this? I know you always in the chat, and I love your support. So thank you for it.
Yeah, the Bloom Ebony has really said something that really hit home about me, about men not feeling useful. And, it sort of make me reminisce about, again, my high school and college year and all the rejections I have taken, and, when a man, feels rejected, I think those are really the ones who do not feel useful at all, because you're making all the effort, you're working on your purpose and everything, to that matter, and you got yourself established, but nobody to even share these things with. And so sometimes when you're on your purpose, it's like there are sometimes where you feel like you're spinning your wheels, and you know, and there are many ways. Well, for one thing, when a man gets rejected, of course, when he's on his purpose, he's not useful to her, especially to the ones who have unrealistic standards. If a man does not meet unrealistic standards, he's not useful to her at all. And if a man does meet her unrealistic standards, most of the time, um, only his the lifestyle is useful to her, and not him. So yeah, you really hit home, with this the blooming ebony, and you really thank you for making this point. Um, I want to say, yeah, which standards are realistic? We have women who want, six-figure men and certain height, certain weight, or what have you. But not all men, including me, do not meet these standards either. But all we can do is just stay on our purpose and just live the best we can. But it's not the greatest feeling to where you know some women keep ignoring um, what even average men are capable of when it comes to providing or being useful to them. It's sad. It really is.
So, Mr. Steele, let me ask a question. And I understand what you're saying, but is it possible for the men to be on their purpose and to be whole within themselves first before, in order not to subject themselves to that type of ridicule or what do you call it? The criticism, the unrealistic expectations and all of that. I think a lot of it is we have to be whole and happy with who. I don't want to use the word happy, forgive me. We have to be whole within ourselves and complete as men and women, because those women are not for you, but there is one that will recognize who you are, and you don't have to do anything. That's what Blooming Ebony said. Stop giving she talked about the dog. She said the dog wants attention. And as soon as you come in the house, they're going to jump up on you and you're going to play with them per se. And that's going to be what they need. But when you train them in the way they should go, I hate to say that, then you will get the respect that you need to have. But it has to be about you and not them. And I think that that's showing the men that you all have the value. You're very valuable. We need men.
Mhm.
For so many reasons, for the protection, for the covering, for the intellectual, the logic that you all bring. I mean, I don't tell y'all often, but there's some situations that my other half is just so logical, and I would be like, gosh, wow, I would have never thought of it that way. It just boom, boom, and it's done. And that's what men bring. Where I might be like, okay, we need to go around the corner, down the street. We need to park to the left, circle one more time because they may be following. I do all of that. And he'd be like, no, just do this and do this. And, so that's needed. That adds a balance to this universe. We need that balance. So I don't want any man to feel like they're useless, because it's just not true. It's just so not true. But how do we continue to convey the message of wholeness, that's what's necessary for you? Because I can tell you all day, I need you to be here because you add a certain amount of balance to this panel. Things you say, the way, the tone of your voice, this and this. But unless you believe it, then what can I do?
Well, if we're talking about us being providers, protectors, or what have you, then you have to have a feeling of wholeness, at one point. In my younger years, I didn't feel that way, but now it's like, you know, now it's like now I have a chance. I'm starting to feel the wholeness
Okay.
because I really understood more about men's role. When you get into a relationship. So if I
Right.
get into a relationship, I have to have that mental um wholeness. It's needed.
Right. It is. Yeah. And you need to know that you're bringing that to the relationship. I think that's the problem. You don't know what you're bringing. You don't know your value. That is the problem. We keep saying it. Oh, I'm saying it. You don't know your value in that relationship. You actually falling into whatever she says. You're falling into her program, and instead of allowing her to be on yours. So you got to show up with the program and say, do you want to be a part of it? Yes or no? And it may not be in that order. I'm just saying it may
Right.
not be that kind of conversation. But did
Yeah.
you have any other questions for Blooming Ebony? If not, I'm going to go ahead and bring up Cheeky because I promised her that we were going to have our shows, but we also knew that this may be one of those things that we need to continue to talk about. So I want to keep it flowing so we can actually kind of stay to our promise, but we're off. But anyway, but thank
Okay.
you.
No.
No,
No. Nothing else. And again, I want thank the both of you and all the other women content creators I watch who have that same concern. I want to thank them as well.
very good. Definitely, definitely. And continue to go up on the panel and talk and say what you're saying, because then we can all work in the same, capacity towards the same goal. I don't know if we do, but we need to be, because if that's the goal that we have, we all should be really having somewhat delivering of the same message.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. We're going to bring up Cheeky. Hey, Mr. Banter. How are you, sir?
I'm well. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Listen, guys, this is another part of the standard, Mr. Banter, and he won't be next week because next week is a holiday, but the following week he'll be up. And of course, we'll be speaking with him also, but I'm not going to tell you what the topic is. He knows, but we're not going to spoil. We ain't going to have no spoilers. But again, he's also a part of the standard. So go ahead, Cheeky.
Yeah. Way to go, Chris. that was a good breakdown. A good explanation of how things work for in the mindset of a woman. I really appreciate that. That what's so odd about being a man in today's society, it's not uselessness, honestly. Like, men know the utility and the practicality of being useful, right? And I think men innately have a drive to be useful. But the issue is, which has been the issue for such a long time, is the ignoring of the other side, the other aspect of the man, which is the want, the desire for a man. It's not usefulness. It's not. Men know they have to go to work. Men work because they have to maintain themselves. Um, and we understand, like, we know how to do things. There are plenty of men that have gained skills and did it because they were useful to society and useful for a job. But I don't think we were created to be individuals. Unfortunately, I believe there's a creator, and I don't think that his design was intended for a man to be by himself and a woman to be by herself. Which is why we have this dichotomy of trying to figure out, well, how do I get to her and how does she get to me? The issue is women and men, both sides, have actually reduced what role they play. Right? We acknowledge. I think most men can acknowledge women's role as far as it being not tangible. Right? Men, like, man, she just made me feel good. Blah, say blah. Right? But when men, men in the red pill space, they will try to find a more practical way to see some form of result, right? So although I understand it's intangible, you need to cook and clean. There's got to be some type of tangible result, because men know about the intangibles already. We don't talk about the things that they can actually do. But the same thing goes for men as well. Women know about the tangible things. He can pay bills. But what about the intangible? What about the moments where he's able to bring peace to you because he's able to comfort your emotions, and he's able to bring that balance when you're in your own mind, but he knows your mind, so he can tell you, hey, snap out of it. It's okay. It seems like men have been reduced to just their utility by itself. What makes a shovel is it just digs dirt in the ground and puts it somewhere else. But a human being is just not a shovel. And men feel like they're only used as a tool. And because they're used as a tool, it's not that they feel useless. It's I'm only meant for this one purpose. But how does that work for a human who has emotions, right? And that's what I've gotten from the red pill. They're not the most articulate, unfortunately. They're not the most articulate when it comes to emotions, because I don't think they've had good practice in learning how to express them and deal with them and put it in a way that makes them still feel masculine. Fortunately for me, I've just paid attention and been self-aware myself. But men feel not desired. It's not. We just don't feel like we're wanted, like at all.
Can I say something? Because I heard her usefulness equal rejection. I heard your usefulness, you kind of got a pushback on it because you said they know their roles. Y'all help me out, because I think what I heard Bloom and Ebony say was more so they're rejected. Their usefulness for the woman is that's what my takeaway from was it, because I that's why I said I've never heard that before. That's kind of different from me. But Cheeky, when you said it, I know that men know what they're supposed to be doing, but I kind of went with the rejection part of it. So Bloom and Ebony, help me out when you say that you felt like a lot of them just thought they just was useful, the usefulness of them being, that's why they were in this red pill situation or in that position. Explain it to me once more.
Yeah, so I actually completely agree with Cheeky. So it's more so useful to the world, but it ties back to this idea of roles. I think men know what their role is supposed to be. The issue is where they don't feel useful is that they're being told that their role isn't right in the world. They're being told that it's toxic to the world. They're being told that women don't need them to do that. Women don't need them to be that. So that ties back to what you were saying, that rejection. They're saying, this is what I'm supposed to be. Let me try and be it. And women are saying, no, don't do it. I don't need you to do that. The world is saying, no, that's toxic. Sit down, right? Don't be that masculine man that you feel like that that you're supposed to be. So I think those two kind of come together that way. So that's kind of where I was going with that idea of usefulness. The men know, but they're being told that it's wrong. And the women aren't showing gratitude. When a man is being masculine, the women aren't saying thank you. They're not saying I need that. They're not saying I need you to continue to be that, right? They're saying I can do it on my own.
Absolutely. And actually they're taking over. So that's the part that played large to me, is that they're being like outcasted. So you thought I needed you, but now I don't. So that's the usefulness of it. That's what I heard. More rejection than they know their role or don't know their role. But before you say anything else, Cheeky, let me say thank you to Black Titan for the $20 super chat. Thank you so much for that. You go ahead, Cheeky, and because we got some others, but you see exactly how we're going to do this standard. You will have your time, and it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah. But I'll say this in closing, and then I'll head off. For the men that are masculine, and is able to play, both roles, not both roles, but is able to bring, both the tangible and intangibles, you'll start realizing real quick how useful you are, because then the requests will start coming. I'm telling you.
I make requests every day.
I'm saying this from experience.
Yeah, you're right.
But you'll start realizing how useful you are then.
All right, Cheeky. We'll talk soon, and thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Mr. Moses, how are you, sir? Nothing much. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm awesome. I just came back from church myself. Shout out to my other guy. He said from church. I'm glad to be here. Actually, I want to speak because I'm glad that you guys touching this. And Ebony, thank you for speaking your side on that. Because men do we do feel like that at times, and I'm not gonna lie, especially in a relationship I had, won't go into details. It was really tough hearing the things I learned about myself that I thought.
Hello?
To speak on, yeah, Bolo spoke about fathers teaching their daughters to be the example they're looking for, right? Well, it's funny because there's a book on this called Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters, and it's by Meg Meeker. Um, for
Your
a strong
connection,
son, a connection.
your connection is going in and out. Okay, Ebony, why he Blooming Ebony, because people are gonna think that's your name. So Blooming Ebony, why he's trying to get, because I really want to hear what he had to say. That was good thus far. But so what do you think about? I mean, you're dead on with that, and that's gonna be an extension of the show. Okay, you back?
Better now?
Yeah. Continue to speak. No. No.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, so that is definitely going to be an extension of what the conversation needs to be. But I think Mr. Scotland said it best. Women, we have to speak out louder, louder, and louder. This is so true. Because we definitely need our men. And the fact that the feminist movement has done such a number on our men is terrible. Neo Moses, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sounds good now. Yes, go ahead.
So the book of the Strong Daughters, Mother, Strong Son, and the book I've read after my previous relationship was really helping me understand that the standard I was picking from my relationship was based on my mother. A lot of hurt issues from her, very masculine in a sense towards me as a son, was never taught to her how to be feminine. So when I figured out that I picked my girl based on my mother, it made sense that those factors into the whole the decision of picking based on that familiar spirit, as they say in the Christian church. I think for me, it's very insightful to know we have to share the experience to help people understand. When you pick somebody based off a previous person, it's usually going based off the family. And I think in the Black community, we have a lot of familiar spirits we see from family. We should always take heed to see through therapy to make sure we don't repeat that same mistake, because it can be detrimental to be with somebody forever if we do not take heed to see these things in us first, because it will always go back to that same thing. Whatever you don't address now will undress you later in a relationship.
That was good. That was very good. So you said are you currently married?
No, I'm not. I'm single right now. I'm a divorcee, but I'm still single right now.
I think I've spoken to you before.
Yes.
A while back. Okay, well, good. It's good that you're here, and I appreciate that. So, how do you feel about the part when she said the usefulness? Has that ever been one of your problems? I wouldn't think so, but
I was always useful. I just think the way they made it seem was based off how they see me, because based off their friends. I think friends and family tell people otherwise, how they think about other guys. Like they think men are all the same, but it's not true. And I think it's important to understand when this is the same type of cycle being pushed on women, they're going to repeat it in some way to make us think that all the men are the same, but that's not true. There's a lot of good brothers out here who are working hard. Shout out to the guys who came on the panel so far and the ladies. I think we should look at those bigger pictures, that those are the people who are putting in the work that's out here. But the thing is, you're picking based off culture and people who are following the same narrative. It's going to be that way for your reality. But the reality is that's not everybody. That's a really small perception to take in to think that all men are useless. And that feminist thing is a plague, in my opinion.
oh yeah, definitely. So listen, there's a question here. It's from Case Favored One. She says, so are men saying that women should be more needy? But before you answer that question, I want to say something. Case, I don't know how long you've been here, but we started with the femininity, and being needy is not a part particularly of being feminine. So I'm going to let him answer that question however he wants to answer that question. But I definitely want you to understand that being feminine, being a feminine woman, has nothing to do with your femininity. It's actually strength in being feminine. So you go ahead and answer that question, Neo Moses, if you can.
I'm gonna answer your question. So the answer to your question is that women need men. You know, we want to feel needed. It's a part of the genetic makeup as a woman. Your biology tells you that you're not meant to carry that pressure on your shoulders. It's not made for you. It's made for us. And honestly, if my wife doesn't feel like she needs me, I will feel kind of a little bit lackluster for myself to think, why am I not needed by my spouse? You know, especially when it's stuff in the house that I can do where she can rest in her femininity that is required for her as a woman. And that makes her have less worries about things. Because let's be honest, you don't want to be doing those hand-on jobs for all your time. You don't want to do that, especially getting up in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. and you're banging the night. Like, you're not going to get up. I'm going to get up and put my life on the line because I don't think you want to either. So let's be honest. Men have to step be men, and women have to be the women they're called. And that is all about your role. Goes back to gender roles. And when it's completed in the plan that is given from us from the man above, we are walking in the purpose we're given. That is really simple understanding. But I think it's just that she doesn't understand that. I think I understand that you don't know that, but it's okay. We're all learning in some way. But keep in mind, that's part of life. You got to learn that's part of your makeup as a woman. And men got to take the lead. And y'all got to follow the right men. Don't follow the wrong men. That's really where it goes to. Follow the right men who are the righteous path. And that's all that factors in is making sure they're living right, because it's not hard to see the fruit. It's in their actions, how they treat people. You know what I'm saying?
So I got a question. No, I don't have a question. I got a question for Case. But listen, we're getting ready to end the show in just a moment, but I got some super chats I want to go through. Neo, Moses, thank you so much for being here, and continue to watch The Standard. We're coming every Sunday. It won't be this next Sunday, but the next 3 after that. And we're going to be setting a standard and examples. We're going to have examples and questions on what we need to do to take this thing and kind of begin to turn it around. It's not going to start in there. We're going to continue to do what we have to do, but we got to set some sort of a standard. And Blooming Ebony has definitely started it out. You know, she began. So I want you to be a part of it also, and continue to come back and support us. And listen, it's a pleasure that you're here, and continue to support SB Nation.
Awesome.
All right, we'll see you soon. Thank you. So, Case, I would love, or any woman, I'm not just going to say Case, I would love to have one woman come up to end the show. And I want you to bring your questions, because the question of, do women need to be needy? No, women need to be willing. And I need for you all to understand it. This is not taking, for a man to be masculine, it's taking nothing away from a woman. It does not. We cannot change who they are. It just adds to our life to understand and be willing. But before we get there, I want to say thank you so much, Mr. Scotland, for your $5 super chat. It is the pair character lifting some weights and saying, keep it up. Thank you for that. There was another there from, I think it was Mr. Holly. Anthony Holly, thank you so much for your $9.99 super chat. It says society tends to devalue Black men as a whole, and sometimes these messages are reinforced by our women. So even when we are progressively taking steps to improve, our efforts are oftentimes minimized. Listen, you're exactly right, but we're not going to stop. We're going to continue. We're real people. We're living in real times, and real things happen. That's why we have to keep each other accountable, and we have to continue to work at what we're doing and identify the problems. And that's what we're doing. That's what the standard is about. So we can always have something to go back to and say, okay, so this is the standard. She gave an example, classic example today of what a feminine woman should be, how it shows up in the world, and how it actually relates and balances out the masculine. So if we ever get off, we can always come back to this particular video and remind ourselves, okay, so listen, I need to control my emotions so I can self-reflect. How about that, women? We need to control our emotions and reflect. That was basically the basis of this femininity, being self-reflective and controlling our emotions. You get that. Listen, nobody can take you off your square. Then you become accountable. Then what? You got it. You're mastering it. Now you got to walk in it every day and just hope nobody knocks you down. But even if they do, you have to remember who you are, because like she said, it's a daily, constantly learning, constantly taking these classes. And then she's going to meet the man that is for her. And then he's going to take that masculine position, and she's going to play that part. She's going to wear that dress. He going to open that door, because she's going to be the light. Somebody said it. she's going to be the light and he's going to be, she's going to be the moon and he's going to be the sun. Was that what it was? But she's going to be peace. And she's going to bring that to him. I can't remember what the person said in the chat, but either way, if there's one lady that can come up and would like to end the show with whatever comment or suggestion or question or whatever they may have, I would love for you to do that, because too often the women are not speaking. Me and Bloom and Ebony can't be the only two ladies. Oh, I forgot about Bethany. We can't be the only three women that are speaking on behalf of our men and trying to change our culture. It's got to be other people. Miss Nash, how are you? It's got to be other women that are willing to help this thing out to begin this. Shaq Diesel, it's good to see you. It really is. I hadn't seen you in a while, but it's good to see you.
Morris joined.
Miss Gretchen, thank you. It's so good to see you. Finally meet you.
Nice to meet you in person. Hey, how are you?
It's so good to see you. How you
Can you
doing?
see me?
Yes,
Can you
I
see
can.
me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh yeah, fine. Hey, this is my first time being here. I just had to say hi. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. And I recognize, but I'm always seeing you in the chat and I appreciate your comments, keeping it going. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. I just had to say one few things.
Sure.
God said it best from His Word. We had to show compassion towards one another. That includes men too. You know how they feel left out and out in the dumps and stuff like that, like they don't feel wanted or needed or loved or stuff like that. I was reminded of my late father, how he lived a hard life as a child. He grew up. His father was well, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about my grandmother, by my father's side. She married 3 different fathers. My father was born to her 3rd husband, and it's a lot of stuff that men go through. While I don't know what to say. Well, the worst part is sometimes we put more pressure and more stuff on the men than we thought.
Your connection is going out. We can't hear you. Oh. All right. We're going to give her one more opportunity to get that back because I want to hear what she had. How about, can you hear me?
Women go through so much. I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. I got you. No.
Sorry.
Miss Morris, I have no idea what's going on. I want to hear what you have to say, but your connection is going in and out. Can you get to a better spot, or can we try one more time? Oh, okay. So we're gonna give her just a short time to come back. But Bloom and Ebony, is there anything you want to say? Because we're getting ready to end the show. She's going to end the show for us if she can make it back up. If not, I'm just so glad to be able to see and talk to her. Brittany B, how are you? She fell asleep. You need your rest. You need your rest. You can do the replay. Big Bad Bull, thank you so much for being a moderator. You do an excellent job. I've been meaning to tell you that. We appreciate you so much. Okay, so what we're going to do then, Bloom and Ebony, did you have anything else you wanted to say before we ended the show?
I wanted to touch on a little bit on what I believe his name is Neo, what he was saying about, I think the book was, I wrote down, strong fathers, strong daughters, when you reverse it. So I like to focus on the women because I'm a woman and I see this more. Femininity not only helps women my age, become married and live a softer life, but also if you're a mother, it's particularly important because if you are a more dominant woman, you're a bit more controlling. You don't like to ask for help. You can oftentimes create the sons that grow up into men that are more passive and more in their feminine because you were in your masculine. So your son was kind of balancing you out, right? And they end up becoming the men that the women don't want. And it's really important that you are also thinking about how you can be more mature in your feminine. You can ask for help. right? You can be softer, less dominant, less controlling, seeing your son as being fully competent and fully able. So later on, when he's an adult, he's a more masculine man, and feminine women are going to want a man like that. I think that's oftentimes missed. And then also, I think what's important is what you're doing really well is I feel like our elders are kind of speaking out more now. But the difficult part is the younger women actually doing it, right? Showing it. I've been struggling with this, like, what do I talk about and what do I just do? And I'm trying to like get away from talking about it as much and showing it more, so I can actually put it into action, because that's where it actually matters. If people can see you doing it, they can see the positive outcomes. They'll want to follow in that, versus if you're just saying it. All this is easier said than done. But if someone's actually lived it, we need to listen from them who's lived it, listen to that wisdom, and then try to put it to action.
Thank you for that. And it is definitely an actual balance that you have to take. You know, you have to get that balance. But for me right now, you have to share, for me, I have to share my story to let people know that there is examples of how life can be, because I don't think there's enough people. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that have successful marriages. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they're not being that example, because they're living their lives. They're not on YouTube or in these spaces. So for me to be in these spaces, I'm sharing with the women that it can be good. So just like any other influence, it can be a good influence. It doesn't always have to be negative. And that's what we want to do. But we have to, I mean, we're just getting started. I think I've been doing this now since September of last year. So maybe right at 9 months. So hopefully another 9 months, then, you know, this could be much, much larger than it is now, and more women. At that point, then we can put together our own class, or our own wife school, our own wife class with some courses or what have you. And then we can talk about it like that. And you could be a part of it. And you could say, you know what, I was there in the beginning. I went through this. And then some people will listen, because that's what you want to happen. You definitely want to make a difference to the next generation that's to come. And it's very important, because like I said, your kids, Bethany kids, I'll be gone to glory, and y'all will be down here struggling. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. So anyway, hello, Red Lipstick Vibes. Where you been? You got to get the replay. But anyway, listen, it's been an awesome show. This is the standard, guys. This is how it's going to look for the next 4 weeks, or through the month of June. We're going to bring in topics that are very needed, and having conversations that are very needed. They're going to be very calm conversations. Nobody's going to be fussing over each other. We're not going to have, quote, the panel, but there will be an opportunity to ask the questions. And we just want all participation. We want everybody to bring whatever it is they want to bring to it, hard questions, whatever. But we want you all to be able to listen and take something away. So make sure you do that. And listen, comments, we need them. Go to SB Show 2020 if you want to add something to what we said. We can definitely bring femininity back again. It could be a little bit more. I would like to have only women ask the question, you know, because I'm hearing, no one's saying it, but I'm hearing why. Why should I? I'm hearing why. No one's saying it, but I'm hearing why. So guess what? We need to have the answers to the why. The why, it's here. We can tell you why, but you got to tune in, and you got to be willing to hear what we're saying, and allow yourself to be vulnerable to the truth. I hate to say it, but it's actually what's happening. So anyway, with that being said, comment section, I love the fact that you're here, but we're getting ready to go. And who is this man of prestige? You want to come up and say something really quick? Blooming Ebony, you okay with that? All right, go ahead.
Hi, ladies. How you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Shout out to you guys.
Thank you.
I just want to appreciate you. Honestly, we need you to continue doing this. I need
Thank
you. I need Sahil. I need you, the Bloom Ebony. You did such a fantastic job today. So please continue, because to be honest with you, majority of the conversation is just basically a bunch of people complaining about the problems, but they seem to be enjoying the complaining more than getting to the solution. So this kind of conversation is very necessary. We have to keep it going. It's not going to go viral as fast as everything else, but it's okay. We just got to keep going. So thank you so much. I came in late because I had other things going on. Don't worry, I'll come back again. I'm plugged in on the series. So everyone, all my friends, all the guys I see on the thumbnail. So I'll come back.
Very good. So listen, you reminded me of something I need to say. The shows in the future going forward, they're going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Yes.
6 p.m. Eastern time. So that may be a little bit more prime time for most people to actually come and join the show. We had to do this show early today for different reasons, but going forward, it will be 6 p.m. Eastern.
Even better. Even better.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so definitely. But thank you so much for that. And I appreciate it. And any encouragement and support, we love it. So
Awesome.
we'll see you soon.
Take care. All right.
Mhm. All right. Thank you. All right, Ms. Bloom and Ebony. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a part of the Standard. Continue to do that. And of course, anything you have to add, any support, any comments that you want, or anything you want to share with me, you got all my information. Please do so. And I'll just see you soon. And we'll talk this week.
I want to thank you first. So thank you so much for your platform. I think the most important thing about your platform is that I'm trying to do it, and what motivates me to keep doing it is women like you who are living it and telling me that if you keep doing it, you could have, a 20+ year marriage. You can be happy in your marriage. You can love your husband, for all those years, like him for all those years. And so I really appreciate you. I really appreciate your platform. Thank you so much for having me. This was an honor, an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. All right, y'all. Thank y'all, and have a good Sunday, rest of it anyway, and we'll see y'all soon. We're going to see me tomorrow night with Black Men Unfiltered on Unsolicited. Tune in. We'll have a thumbnail and advertisement for you shortly, so I'm not going to give all my secrets out on what the show is about, but coming soon. Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, I'm watching the rise, and I wouldn't say I'm shocked, cause I'm hardly surprised. This one's for the ride, this one's for who knew I'd make it, just needed some time. This one's for my wife, could've left 1,000 times just so by my side. This one's for the grind, I knew it would happen, just had the strength in my mind. To the videos, they thought I was a black guy. That's hard to get over. A foreigner in the sport, but I'm fully devoted. I don't take it for granted that the door's been open. I knew I was different, I knew I was chosen. A breadwinner, but I'm soft-spoken. Authentic like I'm 5950 and there's no cap. Let's have a toast to that. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Let's have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Let's have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Have a toast for the They done baptized the bad guy. Still don't follow religion. The fabric's not average. The cotton's Egyptian. 500 for the shoes come dirty, but the European. Less is more and less is the bank. Up the score, I pull up from Trey. From the tray, I'm ballin' like Trey. Do what I can, I do what you can't. I wrote this 30,000 feet up. 10 toes stay G'd up. I'm tryna get that type of wealth, like a house on the hills can't see us. Say the money still me up. Stay humble, stay teed up. I don't tell you how to live, so don't hit me with no weak stuff. And if you know the deal, then you know the deal. If it's real, then you know it's real. Toast. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Let's have a toast for the real. Let's have a toast for the real ones. Let's have a toast for the real. Let's have a